Don't just be yourself. So who else you should be? Good afternoon, my friends. Thank you. We have all been told to just be yourself. And most of us interpret that as sticking to what is comfortable, safe, and familiar. And yes, it is important to do things that you like, that you are comfortable with, that you are you. Now, let's do a quick exercise together. Can I have all of you to imagine a balloon with me? Come on, imagine a balloon in your head. What shape do you see? Round, mostly round, right? The default shape of a balloon is round. And since young, I thought a balloon could only be round. And for most of the year, I thought the same about myself too, that I could only be in one shape because everyone told me to just be yourself. I was quiet, and I thought being quiet was the only way to be myself. But ladies and gentlemen, what if we could reshape this balloon and ourselves differently? When I was 7, my parents brought me on a road trip together with my brother and my neighbor. My dad was driving. And 30 minutes in, he said, "Hey, Li Ying, your brother is asleep, so why don't you have a chat with your neighbor? Go, go, go." I looked at my neighbor. She looked back at me, and we both looked away. And I thought to myself, nope, I would just be myself and stay quiet. An hour later, my brother finally woke up from his nap, and he said, "Oh, it was so quiet. I had the best sleep ever." Ladies and gentlemen, that was how quiet I was. Quiet was my identity, my default. In school, whenever the teacher asked for volunteers to answer questions, believe me, I will always be the first one to avoid eye contact. During report card day, the teachers told my parents, "Li Ying is a smart girl, but she is too quiet. She needs to speak more." Now, if you were to tell my parents, my teachers, that Li Ying is now speaking on a TEDx stage, they would be like, "Whoa, Li Ying can talk?" But even as the quiet one, I was still a top student. So to me, it doesn't really matter because I was just being myself. And then I started working. And as usual, I was quiet again. Every time in meeting, people would be shocked. "Oh, Li Ying, I didn't notice you are here. Sorry. Every time. In a group discussion, I would listen closely, but I rarely spoke. And every time in a group setting, people will ask the same question. "Li Ying, are you okay? You are too quiet. Are you okay?" I was so quiet that my boss even set me an extraordinary KPI. It's not about work performance, it's not even about teamwork, but to talk to 3 people every day. You see, as a data analyst myself, so-called the sexiest job in 21st century, I didn't understand why my boss set me that KPI. To me, quiet is my nature, and I'm just being myself. Although I didn't speak much, but I delivered. I worked overtime, I attended extra courses, and I solved problems. I was always the first one to arrive in the office and the last one to leave. Believe me, I like data so much that I could sleep with a spreadsheet on. At that time, I was silently hoping for a promotion. Time flies. It came to my appraisal time. And there was a time when my boss said something that changed everything. Sitting across the table, he said, "Li Ying, I really like you. I like how dedicated and smart you are. Although you are quiet, but you get things done. But about your promotion, I am going to give it to your junior, Sarah." I look at my boss for 5 seconds, and I ask, may I understand why? He said, Ying, you are too quiet. Leadership needs visibility. The night, I locked myself in my room and I asked myself, why am I not good enough? What's wrong with being quiet? What's wrong with being myself? And my boss's voice kept playing in my head over and over again. Li, you are too quiet. Li, you are too quiet. Li, you are too quiet. And the next day, I told my brother everything. And he said one sentence. Don't worry, sis. Let me bring you to a magical place. Toastmasters. Oh, Toastmasters? Is that a place where people make toast? I Googled it. It is a place for people to practice public speaking. At first I thought, why would people volunteer to speak publicly? Something must be wrong with them. Curious, I visited. And apparently something was wrong with me because I volunteered myself to speak publicly. I stood on a stage. My hands were shaking. My legs were shaking. Everywhere was shaking. Everyone was waiting for me to say the first word, including myself. 20 seconds of silence. I finally started speaking. My voice trembled. To be honest, I had no idea what I just said, but I remember that was the longest moment I've experienced in my life. As I finished speaking, the audience applauded. And I had no idea why as well. But for the first time, I felt seen and I felt heard. From then on, I started to speak more. And I thought, what if I can be more than my default? For all my years, I thought a balloon could only be round. And I thought being quiet was my identity, my default. Ladies and gentlemen, it is true that the default shape of a balloon is round, but it does not have to stay round. Let me show you what else a balloon could be. It can be long, twisted into a different shape, and yet it is still a balloon. And just like this balloon, I can be more than my default. Now, a year after I joined Toastmasters, I entered my first ever public speaking contest. And as I finished, a young lady came up to me and said, Lee, thank you so much for sharing your story. It changes my perspective on how I see things. At that moment, I teared up because for the first time I realized even an extremely quiet person has a voice, and that voice has the power to change life. And ever since then, I have become more than just quiet. I got promoted to lead the data analytics team. I've become an MC, a mentor, and even a public speaking coach. Now, if you wonder, can an extremely quiet person become a great speaker or MC? Here's my answer to that. This January, I was given this opportunity to host my company's town hall with over 300 audiences. I was really scared at first, but the moment when I stood on the stage, everything shifted. I enjoyed the moment. I saw my audiences laughing at my jokes, and I even saw my boss clapping like a madman. That's when I know my increment will be great. By the way, my bosses are here, and I hope that they heard it. Now, for over 20 years, I thought being myself meant staying quiet. But then I discovered I can be different. From sitting in silence to standing on stage, from avoiding conversations to hosting a town hall, I am still a quiet person. I still love silence, but I also love the sound of applause. Now, my friends, don't get me wrong. It is not about changing because I am still quiet. I am still an introvert. I still hesitate before joining gatherings. But the difference now is I no longer let my default define me. I am so much more than that. Now, looking back at this journey, there are these 3 diamonds that I would like to share with all of you. First, don't limit yourself to your default version. Like a balloon, you can take on many shapes. Second, every one of us here has a voice that is powerful enough to change something or someone. Your voice matters. And third, growth does not erase you, it expands you. My friends, how often do you stay in your default version, refusing to explore? How often have you been told to just be yourself and you listen to that? Life is really short, but that's the longest thing that you will ever do. So try your limits. Give yourself the freedom to shape your balloon, to be all you can be. And today, right now, right here on this stage, at this venue, I want to give you a homework. Say yes to that opportunity. Speak up in that meeting. And try to do the things that you have always been too afraid to try. And as you walk out of this venue today, I want you to remember that be yourself doesn't mean staying the same. It means growing into a different version of you that's waiting to be discovered. And the next time when you hear people ask you to be yourself, don't hear it as stay safe. Hear it as a permission to evolve. Because the best version of you may be still waiting to be discovered. Now, before I end my speech, let me just do one more exercise with all of you. Right, now can I have all of you to raise your hand with me? Right, come on, raise your hand with me. And now, imagine that you are holding this long-shaped balloon. And now, look at your hand. The freedom to shape your own balloon is now in your hand. Thank you. My name is Ying.